This video will show you how to use the Light-O-Rama show editor to create a show. And we're just going to cover the very basics of it in this video. There will be other videos that show you how to create shows in other manners and how to make your shows behave in other ways. This video will just cover the basics. And before going into that, I want to just speak a little bit about what a show is and where it fits into the grand scheme of things in the Light-O-Rama software suite. So you have sequences, which you create using the Light-O-Rama sequence editor, and maybe you've done that, or maybe you've seen other videos showing how to use the sequence editor to create sequences. Sequence is basically a collection of channels, each channel representing a string of lights or a floodlight or something like that, that you can tell to turn on and turn off and shimmer up and shimmer and down and all sorts of things. So the sequences control the behavior of your lights. Once you have a bunch of sequences, you can put them together into a show. And a show, a very basic simple show would be play this sequence, followed by that sequence, followed by that other sequence. And like I said before, there are a lot of different ways to create a show, so things can get a lot more involved than that, but there's a basic show for you. Play these three sequences in this order. And then after you have a show, you can schedule that show to run using the Light-O-Rama schedule editor. So for example, you can say, I want this show to run starting at 6 p.m. on Friday night and going to 9 p.m. So with all that said, we're dealing in this video with the middle portion of that, which is shows. So shows are comprised of sequences, and shows get scheduled. And to create a show, you use the Light-O-Rama show editor, which is this guy in front of you. Show has several different sections in it, and each section is represented by one of these tabs: background, startup, animation, musical, interactive, and shutdown. Now, each of these tabs, you can put sequences into them. You don't have to put sequences into every tab. You can put some in one tab, you can leave another tab blank. But depending on where you put a sequence into the show, depending upon what section you put it in, that is, your show will behave in a different way. So if you put a sequence into the musical section, your show will behave differently than if you had put that same sequence into the startup section. For this video, we're just going to worry about the musical section, and really just the basics of the musical section. The musical section can more or less be thought of as the main portion of the show. Almost every show that people make will have sequences in its musical section. Might also have sequences in other sections, or it might not. But almost always, they'll have sequences in the musical section. So, like I said, each of these sections can contain a list of sequences. Right now, the list, which would be shown here, is blank. There are no sequences in the musical section. We can add a sequence. Let's do that by clicking on this plus button. And let's say Ashling. So now my show has a sequence in the musical section, Ashling. And what this means is that the show will start up and this Ashling section, this Ashling sequence will play. And when it gets to the end of the sequence, unless your show has been scheduled such that it is time to stop the show, it'll play again, because it's going to finish up all of the sequences that are listed here and then go back to the beginning. And it'll keep going back to the beginning until your show reaches its scheduled end. And so in this case, when we only have one sequence in the musical section, it'll keep playing that sequence over and over and over again until the show reaches its scheduled end. But we can add in a second sequence. Let's say, Daddy, I'm Fine. So now instead the show would start up with Ashling, and then play Daddy, I'm Fine, then go back to Ashling, then Daddy, I'm Fine, and over and over and over again until the show reaches its scheduled end. And we should note that when the show reaches its end, let's say the show is scheduled to end at 9 p.m. And at 9 p.m. it's in the middle of playing Aisling, and we still have another minute left in Aisling. The song is not going to suddenly stop at 9 p.m. just because your show is scheduled to stop. Instead, because it's in the musical section, the song will be allowed to finish naturally, and only after that's done will the show stop. So your show might actually stop, let's say, at 9:01 p.m., even though you have it scheduled to stop at 9, because it's in the middle of one of the songs when it reaches the scheduled end. We can also add in more songs. Let's say Rudy Zarnawoop and the Elements. And now we have 4 songs that will play in order and loop over and over again until the show reaches its scheduled end. So that's a very, very basic show. And once we have the the sequences here, we could save as, and we pick a name for our show. And let's say this is my 2012 Christmas show. These aren't exactly Christmas songs, but hey. So now I have this show saved, and I can now schedule it using the schedule editor. That's a subject for another video, though. Now let's say that I want to change it a little bit. I want Rudy Zarnawoop to play in second instead of third. Then I click on Rudy Zarnawoop and click on this up arrow, and now he has been moved up. Or if I want him to play fourth, I can click down a couple times, and now he's at the bottom of the list. Also, if I didn't want... Oh, and then I should make sure to save. So now my changes have been saved. But what if I didn't actually want Rudy Zarnawoop to play? Then I could click on this minus button, and I could remove the sequence, and now Rudy Zarnawoop is gone. And I could save that. But later I decide I do want Rudy Zarnawoop. I can add him in again. And then, of course, save. So I think that's about it for the very basics of building a show. We'll have other videos that show other options you could use to make your shows behave in different ways. But just with the musical tab and listing sequences, you'll get a basic show where it'll play this sequence, then that sequence, then this one, and then back to the beginning, over and over, until the show reaches its scheduled end. I hope this helps.